Granny squares are a terrific small project for beginning crocheters and experienced crocheters. Even non-crocheters recognize the traditional granny square. I'm going to show you how to make what I consider the most common type of granny square. Along the way, I'll show you a couple of refinements to make your granny square the best it can be. I'll show you both the charted and text instructions, but I'll also focus on the concepts behind a granny square, so you'll be able to crochet a granny square without having to be a slave to a pattern or a chart. I'm going to be using American crochet terms, and I'm assuming you know how to chain stitch, slip stitch, and double crochet. If you need help with these or any other crochet techniques, watch my other YouTube videos or find all your answers in the Crochet Answer Book by Edie Eckman. I'll begin by putting a slip knot on my hook, and I want to leave at least about a 6-inch tail because I want to have plenty of yarn to weave in later. I'll begin with a chain 4, then slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook to make a ring. So counting backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not into that slip knot, let me make the slip knot a little tighter, but into the 4th chain from the hook. Go in, yarn over, and pull through everything to create a ring. We'll be working the first round into that ring. You may want to even put your pinky finger in there and make it a little bigger so you can recognize where the ring is. Round 1 begins with a chain 3. That chain 3 counts as a double crochet. From now on, we'll probably refer to it as a double crochet. I'll start with 2 more double crochets into the ring. Yarn over, go into the ring itself. Open that up so you can see where that is. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 to complete your double crochet. And then do another double crochet into the same ring. I'm working over the yarn tail right now so that the yarn tail is being enclosed by the base of those stitches. I'll do some additional weaving in later, but I'm starting that first round by enclosing both the ring and the yarn tail. Now I have 3 double crochets. It's time to start a corner. A corner in my traditional granny square is chain 2. Now I need to do 3 more double crochets. And another corner, chain 2. And 3 more double crochets into the ring. All of the stitches are worked into the ring. As I do these double crochets, I'm starting to fill up that ring, and I'm not really having space to do my last set of double crochets, so I need to slide these stitches around to leave myself a little more space here. If you're working into the ring correctly, those stitches should slide around and just be parallel to each other, but not sort of jump over each other. They should be all right in a line there. Now it's time to do another chain 2 corner, and then 3 more double crochets. Let's take a look at where we are so far. We have 3 double crochet groups and 3 chain 2 corners. So we need to do 1 more corner, which is a chain 2. Finish the round by slip stitching into the top of the chain 3. Remember that chain 3 is a double crochet. I'll put my hook right into the chain at the top and work a slip stitch. Go in and pull through everything. So I've finished round 1, and because I'm going to start another color on round 2, I will cut my yarn, leaving about a 6-inch tail, and fasten off. Many granny square patterns will tell you to join the new yarn with a slip stitch and start working the new round by working a chain 3 build-up chain or turning chain, just like we did for round 1. I like to do it a different way. I like to start the new round with a standing double crochet. Again, starting with a slip knot on my hook and leaving about a 6-inch tail. I can start my next stitch in any one of these corners, and I'm just going to do a double crochet. So I have a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to yarn over and go into that space, into the space itself, not into a stitch. Go into this space, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2 to complete my double crochet. By the way, I have an extra knot here. You shouldn't normally have that. So for a corner in round 2, I need 3 double crochets. Then I need to work a corner, which is chain 2, and 3 more double crochets in that same corner space that we made on the previous row. Every corner of my granny square is going to have 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Now it's time to work into another corner, but I need to bridge the gap across this group of 3 double crochets. That's a chain 1 to bridge that gap. Now here I am in another corner space. What am I going to do? I'm going to put 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles in that space. The nice thing about granny squares is that we are always working into spaces, not into stitches. It makes the work go really fast. And if I need to, I can slide the base of those stitches around to give myself a little more space. I'm going to move this yarn tail out of the way because we'll deal with that later. Here I need to bridge the gap over this group of 3 double crochets with a chain 1. And here's another corner. Chain. Three double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. You getting the idea now? Chain 1 to bridge the gap, and then 3 doubles, two chains, and 3 doubles. I've come all the way around, and I need to end with a chain 1, join with a slip stitch to that very first stitch. Now, because I used a standing double crochet instead of a chain 3, I actually have just a regular double crochet right there, and you won't be able to tell the difference between that first stitch and any of the other stitches. So I'm going to slip stitch in the top of that stitch, cut my yarn, and fasten off. I've finished round 2. Every corner has 3 doubles, chain 2, 3 doubles, and the gap over every chain 3 space has a chain 1. Round 3 introduces one more concept. Where we have a chain 1 space, we're going to put 3 double crochets. I'll start with a standing double crochet in that chain 1 space, and then 2 more double crochets in the same space. Chain 1 to bridge the gap over that group of stitches, and then we come to a corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets for another corner. Chain 1 over the 3DC group, and then 3 double crochets in this chain 1 space. I'll move that yarn tail to the back because I'll weave that in later. Then chain 1 to bridge the gap over the 3 double crochets and do another corner. I'll work that way all the way around. When I finish my last corner, I do a chain 1 and then join with a slip stitch to the top of my double crochet. And I'm about to run out of yarn here. I should have more yarn to fasten off with. So if you are cutting your yarn, don't cut it so short. That's going to be really too short to weave in and will probably come undone. Always leave a much longer tail than this, say, 1.5 inches that I have here. Is it starting to look like a granny square? Let's do one more round to make sure you understand the concepts behind this classic granny square. I can start round 4 of my granny square anywhere I want because I understand the basic concepts of a granny square. I'll start with a standing double crochet in this space. And because that's a chain 1 space, I'll put 2 more double crochets. Chain 1, then I'm at a corner. There's my corner, chain 1, and then 3 double crochets in this chain 1 space. I'll move my tiny end back here. This side is longer than the previous side. I have actually 2 chain 1 spaces. So I need to chain 1 and do another 3 double crochets in this chain 1 space. Each subsequent round of a granny square gives you longer sides, and so you have more 3 double crochet groups and more chain 1 spaces to work through. But you continue to have 4 corners that are all worked the same. Continue working in the round all the way around your square until you come to the end of the round. As I finish my last corner, I see that I have 1 more chain 1 space that needs to be completed with 3 double crochets and then a chain 1 and slip stitch into the first stitch to complete the round. And that will complete round 4. I can fasten off round 4 in the way that I fastened off all the other rounds, but it leaves a tiny little ear if you want here. I like to finish off my final round of a granny square a bit differently. I'm going to take this slip stitch out and show you a different way to fasten off the granny square. I have actually ripped back out all the way to my last double crochet, so I'm missing a chain 1 here. I'm going to pull the yarn tail all the way out through this stitch, so I'm actually short a stitch here. Thread a tapestry needle with that yarn tail. Insert the tapestry needle underneath the V of that first stitch from front to back and pull the yarn through. Then insert the needle from top to bottom through the top of that double crochet stitch and pull it through. What I'm doing is I'm actually sewing a chain stitch. And you can see here, you cannot tell the difference in the stitch. If I pull that slip stitch out a little, back to the back a little bit, I have a continuous series of V's going across the top of my work. And I don't have that slip stitch join that sometimes doesn't look as tidy as I'd like it to. Now I need to weave in my ends. And to do that, I will just continue with this tapestry needle and work along the back of my granny square. I'll probably work under a few stitches here. I want to stay within the same color that I'm still using. Now I've worked under these stitches. I may want to work back in the same direction under those stitches, back in the opposite direction. And I'm going to work in the opposite direction under those stitches and maybe up a couple of strands this way. The more different ways I can work my yarn in and out throughout the stitches on the wrong side, the less likely those stitches are to come undone. If I just work under the strands like this and leave it there, those are likely to come undone. So I've sort of worked in and out, back and forth and around several times. That's why I want to have a plenty long tail when I'm doing that. There's one end taken care of. Weave in the rest of the ends. If your ends were too short, like one of mine was, you'll have to insert the yarn needle under the stitches first, then thread the needle and pull that little stubby yarn tail through. If you'd like more crochet instruction like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the links in the video notes for other ways you can find me. Thanks for watching.